Hi, everyone, and welcome to our premiere episode of A Better Way of Earning talk show. I am the host, Dr. Michelle S. Thomas, and I wanted to take a moment for this special occasion to introduce myself and kind of give you my why this talk show is so important to me, especially in today's time, and why I hope that it becomes important for you also. I've been in business for a long time. I've done a lot of things and I've seen a lot of things. And as a multiple business owner, what I had to learn throughout my journey was that not all information is good information for my pathway or my journey. However, the biggest revelation that I had, especially when I first started out, was I had no way to vet the people that I was listening to and discern whether their information was not only true, but relevant to the journey that I was on. It came to me as I was doing my podcast that I wanted to take it a step further and create a talk show where we can sit down with actual experts, leaders, entrepreneurs, business people that are actually walking their talk. And this process for me not only was exciting, but it was a very deliberate process for me of the people that we will be interviewing and sitting down with, because for my audience, I wanted to make sure that any information that I presented to you not only could be from a real person that you can communicate with, you can get services from, you can interact with, but we know that these people are really doing the things that they're saying that they're doing. Why is that important in today's time? Because we're in this global internet, AI system, social media system, and a lot of people are spending a lot of money and a lot of time going down pathways of people who, for lack of better terms, are not walking their talk. And that bothers me. I know I can't solve all the problems of the world, but in my little corner, in my mind, what I can do is begin to have honest conversations with real people that can resonate with you and what you need. But I also wanted to take it a step further. I created a community space for A Better Way of Earning talk show listeners and viewers so that we can come together and you actually can connect with the experts, find out what they're doing, retain their services, attend their events, or even get information from them. But there's a space where we can get your feedback, because that's very important for me. I never want to have a conversation that's one-dimensional, where we are putting information out there that you as our audience isn't finding relevant or isn't finding useful for what you need to do. So this community space, as a viewer, as a listener, gives you the opportunity in a very positive way. And I stress that this is a positive space for us to have debates, information, for us to share information, because the ultimate goal of A Better Way of Earning ecosystem is for all of us to find the level of success that we all deserve and that we all desire. So tune in to our first episode. I'm going to introduce and let you know who we're talking to, but I just wanted to give you that insight because this is very important, especially for a lot of people out there that don't know that there are things that you're needing and that you're seeking. You know that you need something, but you don't know how to put words to it. And so that doesn't challenge anybody's intellect or anybody's capability. It's just a natural progression of growth. As I say that, I want to, again, welcome you to A Better Way of Earning. This is the talk show where we explore the conversations that shape our work, our life, and most importantly, our money. As your host, my goal is to ensure that we are talking about things in this ever-changing environment of the world that will directly impact your career your business, your household, your lifestyle, and your legacy. And in order to do that, we have scoured the world and we will continue to find experts of all backgrounds, of all beginnings, of all levels of expertise that can come and have just a simple conversation with you. These conversations are structured to give real insights of what it takes, not the Cliff Note version, not the things where people kind of give you these high-end information things that you then walk away from it and go, so how do I even start? That's not what this is about. Even though the talk show episodes are short, we still want to make sure that we're covering the points, and then inside of the community, we will expound and give more information. Plus, the community gives you the ability to suggest and talk to us about impactful people that you know that maybe we should sit down and pull up a chair and have a conversation with. As I end this, I want to let you know that you are about to enter into the talk show portion where we had the pleasure of sitting down with Dr. Natalie A. Williams. She is the founder and CEO of NAW4 Integrated Business Solutions. And Dr. Natalie has spent a lifetime understanding what leadership looks like. So the topic of our conversation is managing versus developing people and why those differences matter in today's time. So if you've ever managed a team, if you've ever run an organization or have your own business or just want to improve your leadership style, this conversation is for you. Tune into the episode. After the episode, I will pop back in, give you some of the nuggets that I took away from the conversation. But most importantly, everyone, I want to hear from you. This talk show is the talk show for the people. Today, we are sitting in times where we need full information. We need support. We need to understand what's around us. And not one person can find and figure out everything. This is a community. This is a space where all of us will learn, grow, and build the journeys that better shape our life. It turns into, or better shape our life and give us all a better way of earning. I'll see you at the end of the episode. Welcome to the talk show portion of A Better Way of Earning, where work, life, and money get real. This is the space where we step away from the headlines and take a closer look at the real stories behind how people earn, build, grow, and sometimes even start over. Because earning just isn't about jobs or business. It's about identity, resilience, opportunity, and the decisions that we make along the way. So today, we're pulling up a chair, having an honest conversation, and learning from someone who's navigating their own journey in a powerful way. Let's get into it. Today, I am joined by Dr. Natalie R. Williams, a business consultant, leadership coach, systems strategist, and motivational speaker with decades of experience helping organizations and professionals create sustainable growth and meaningful impact. As the founder, president, and CEO of NAW4 Integrated Business Solutions, Dr. Williams specializes in leadership development, workforce education, strategic business growth, and organizational transformation, helping people and organizations align vision with execution. Welcome, Dr. Natalie.
Thank you.
How
Thank
are
you.
you today?
That was great. Yes, that was beautiful.
Don't you love hearing your bio?
I do. I do.
um, so I want to jump right in, and
Okay.
and first of all, thank you for having this conversation. You are one of the few people that I love talking about the difference between managing people
Mm.
and developing people.
Mhm.
And that's a passion of yours, especially to make sure that you can find and help people not only to execute well, but to find areas in themselves. And so that skill is a skill.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want our audience, and I'm excited that our audience get a chance to sit down for a few minutes and just kind of get some insight of not only what this means to you, but what they also should look for when they are being developed.
Mm.
So you've held leadership roles
Mhm.
across business, workforce development, and nonprofit spaces over the years. How has your definition, of leadership evolved over time?
So I love this question, and when you sent the questions, I was reviewing. I was thinking to myself, at the stage that I'm at now in my life, I originally when I first started working, I was so result driven.
Mm.
I was result driven. And I still am result driven, but I'm result driven from a human centered perspective now. I Numbers are extremely important to me, and
Right.
people that I meet, even in this entrepreneurial journey, people understand and know that it's really important to know all your numbers, and not just from an accounting perspective.
Right.
And when you say that this whole thing is about earning and being, it's not even a cash, right? It's about being who you are, because all money is not good money.
Oh,
Right. So how it has evolved for me over the years of I've self-taught myself so many different things.
right.
I've been in positions where I've self-taught myself computers and IT and HR. I mean, I really ingrained myself in things, and I am a person that was so wrapped around perfectionism.
Right.
Being a perfectionist when I was younger was so extremely important to me. And I'm not really sure where that came from, other than my brothers and sisters beating me up.
Right. Being a baby. It's hard to have for the younger.
Being the youngest, right? Having all the challenges of the older people telling you what you can and you cannot do. So I think that there was a thing inside of me that always wanted to be the person that had it together, or
Right.
had it right, some
Right.
kind of way, some kind of shape and form, which drove me to always thinking about being perfect, but also result driven.
Right.
I do understand that leading with numbers in an organization, or leading with facts, is extremely important, especially to your stakeholders.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to take an example. When I started with the Women's Business Center, I had about 2 or 3 months to get myself off the ground. And what I did coming in is understanding who was the community that I was serving.
Oh, that's
What
good.
was the necessary need for the people that were going to be the beneficiaries of the information.
Right.
But I also understood that I had to make a runway of making money at
Right.
the same time.
Absolutely.
Right. So you have to combine that level of knowledge and just run with it. And so as a result, when I started out with like 65 workshops within a 3-month period.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in a 3-month period. Like when I say we killed the game, like we literally came out the gate running. I had a team of two members, and it was a part-time position, and it was a team. They worked part-time. I worked full-time, but my budget really wasn't sustainable for 3 people, and I was clear that I had to make a way, some kind of way.
Right.
It was results,
Right.
but it was also people centered at the same time.
Right.
And so ran this game on all of these things, had numbers, had to show results, and it came out. It was very beneficial. As I have evolved to where I am now,
Right.
I am people centered more so than I am result driven.
Correct.
And the result, and I should say it differently, because the result is the development of the people,
Absolutely.
not necessarily the fact of when you're managing someone. Let me say this too. When you're managing someone, there's a difference between managing, developing, right? What we
Yes.
talked about. When you're managing, you're really talking about performance.
Right.
What is the performance of that person?
Right.
What do they do? What can they do? What can they not do?
And what do they need?
And now when you are talking about developing, now you're talking about the need.
Absolutely.
Developing is talking about the need and the growth of the individual and seeing the person for who they are.
Right.
So as I have evolved, my focus is really based on what do people need.
Right.
The results will come.
Absolutely.
But when you're in it in the beginning, you don't necessarily feel that way.
Right. Right. I tell, I raised a lot of kids. A lot. Okay. It's a lot of them. But one thing I used to tell the kids, especially when they were younger, and this was pertaining for school for them. And they would talk about, well, this teacher is a bad teacher and this teacher. And I instilled in them early on that you can even learn from a bad manager or teacher, especially in your own development. Because if you don't develop an eye to recognize things that aren't result driven, so going back to that manager part, excuse me, if you are in there managing the operation and you're not really in touch with what's happening with your people around you, you may be getting some results,
Right.
but you're not getting the best results.
Right.
And so oftentimes a lot of new managers come in with whether insecurity, ego, just lack of their own development, or just repeating what was done to them.
Exactly.
Repeating what I can't tell you how many people in their mind, or even say, I can't wait till I become a manager and then I'm going to treat people like this. Well, it's not that simple. So in your experience, when you're talking to people about development, do you find that a lot of leaders misunderstand managing and developing?
You said it. You said it exactly. How it's just like when you grow up. You do, unfortunately, sometimes when you grow up in a house of abuse,
Right.
you end up being the abuser.
Absolutely.
Right? It's the same thing in workplace.
Wow.
Mismanagement. When you see a bad manager, and your point was this, you can learn from a bad leader.
Right.
You can learn from a bad manager. I honestly believe leaders are born.
Absolutely.
Right? Managers are made.
Ooh.
So leaders are just born. If you take a Martin Luther King, you take someone that is not necessarily ordinary or customary to what is going on around, that's a leader. Wow. The leader has the foresight. I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work this out.
Oh, wow.
A manager is, I'm going to function. I'm in function. Right? We're functioning. We got a process. We got a project. We got work to do. Let's function. We got KPIs.
Numbers to hit.
Oh, we got to stay on this. And you said it. When you come in, you come in because that's what society tells you that you have to come in as. And I do want to say this too. So, I was having this conversation with someone about Black women.
Right.
And our definition of a Black woman is she's a strong Black woman. And so we come in with having to have that label already on our back. Right. Why do it's cool that we are strong. I'm not saying that we're not strong and Black, but why do we have to be defined like that? There's no other race of women that are defined as strong. You don't say that about a white woman.
That must carry that title.
That must carry that title.
Yes.
Yes. So when you come into an occupation, whether you're a male or female, and then let's just talk about what happens to a Black man when he goes into a job.
Absolutely.
And he has to show himself as a leader. Right. But he's a leader. He's a coverer at home. He's got all these other areas in his life
and
that
not
he
allowed
too. Not allowed to be
I can't,
emotional, and I
not allowed
can't.
to say not today or I
Exactly.
don't know. Because
Exactly.
that means he wasn't ready for
Raised
the
right.
he wasn't ready for the position or raised
Exactly.
right, or he just slid in.
Yep.
If somebody say affirmative action to me one more time, just
Okay.
that's how that happened.
Exactly.
That's and that's interesting because even my husband and I talked about, because we own several businesses too, and I remember telling him the difference in our meetings.
Mm.
I said that if I come into the meeting
Oh.
and people haven't met the goals and the measurables and et cetera, and I come in and I don't have a lot of time to be finding out what's going on with your babies and what's with your shoes and whatever.
Okay.
I come in, I get straight to business, and I talk about this, where is this,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
hold people accountable, whatever. Everybody in the room is like, what's wrong with her? Oh, she is terrible. Oh, that's a bitch right there.
Yeah, and she's
And
aggressive.
she's a great. Why is she talking to you like
But
that?
if a man
But
walks
my
in
husband can walk in the
and
same room
and say the same
and not
thing.
even speak to people. Just come in and put his papers down and say, this is unacceptable. We need to do better. And what they say? Yep, you're right. This is what I realized that I'm going to work.
Exactly. It is a two-sided story. It's a
very
very unfair two-sided story. And especially for us as Black women, we are always labeled, again, not even necessarily when I say strong Black woman, we're labeled as being aggressive. And we're judged according to our knowledge.
Right.
And I always said, even when I was younger, if a Black woman applies for a job and there's a job description, she is going to make sure she crosses every line on that job.
Absolutely.
But when someone else applying, if they can do one thing, they're applying for that job.
The rest of it,
they're applying for that job.
Isn't that funny?
It is funny. It's terrible.
It's conditioning.
And I thought about that for my granddaughter.
Yes.
You know, when I thought about my granddaughter going through this life and this navigating, I'm like, oh, my daughter's doing a really good job. And I caught myself and I said, do we want her to be defined as a strong Black woman, or do we just want her to define herself? And that's what I want for her. Yeah. I want her to define who she is. So when you talk about bad leadership, oftentimes we get into these organizations where leaders have not been challenged to be the best that they can be because of what they've seen around them.
Absolutely. And you said something really key. A lot of my background is sports and entertainment. Mm-hmm. And so I've always found myself in these male dominated roles. And I say that because everybody who knows my story, you know what I say, I became a leader at the age of 19. Now, whether I should have or not is another story. So don't send me no emails or write in about why that happened, but it happened. So at 19, I had to learn for myself what my leadership style was.
Exactly.
And back in the day, because I'm not going to date myself, but back in the day, we didn't have all the Google and everything that you could sit there.
The 10 top leadership styles that you
didn't nobody have all that. So you had to literally figure out what felt okay for you. And I noticed that me coming in, it wasn't even about me being a Black woman. It was just the fact that I was a woman sitting at the table full of men, and it became their joke. So their goal was to see how they could make the little girl cry. Well, I didn't cry because I didn't understand it. Plus, my father's a military man, and I had a whole different thing, and whatever. But it didn't stop them from trying to shake me, right? And so my first lesson about leadership coming in was not only did I have to understand what my role was, I had to know what every stakeholder that had a seat at the table, what they did also, and how I impacted what their outcome was, what their results was, what their department, etc., so that no matter what you threw at me, I was prepared at the table.
But let me say this too. And that's where it is for us.
Yeah.
Like we are professional educators. When I sat here and I said I self-taught myself,
Yes.
you self-taught yourself
Self-taught
that.
myself.
But I also want to say this to you. You said, I don't know if I should have been a leader at 19. You couldn't help me with who you are.
Absolutely.
You were born to be a leader. And I said that earlier. Leaders are born.
Absolutely.
You can grow up in the household with the same people,
Right.
have the same parental guidance, and one person will come out, or a couple people will come out. Everybody's going to come out
Everybody's
differently.
gonna come out, right.
But the paths that each one of us takes is because that's what we were born.
I
When we
love that.
came through that womb of our mother, regardless of whatever happens to our parents,
Come on now.
we came through, what accompanied us when we came through was purpose.
In our
What
assignment.
accompanied
Ooh.
us was leadership.
Yes.
And when you're called to leadership, you can do nothing else. You can fight it. You can try
You
to
can run from
deny
it.
it.
Oh,
You
that's
can
good.
try to disguise yourself as something else so people can accept you.
Yeah.
But you're born with it.
Yeah.
And the moment that you really take a hold of that thing and you accept that thing
Yeah.
is the moment that you just begin to flourish.
Absolutely.
And you're no longer worrying about, well, what I'm not doing what this one does, or they
Or
do
do
it
they like
different,
me?
or
Or
do they like me, or did I say it right,
Right.
or say it? Because let me tell you, when you talk about evolution,
Mm.
this girl's mouth right here, oh my goodness. I still got some pieces of that
spicy.
in
Little
me.
bit spicy.
I mean, like it's always going Jersey girl bound.
Little
Always Jersey girl bound,
Right.
number one. But I see the evolution of how I used to, and I used to tell people this, and it's not gonna sound nice, but it is the truth. I used to cut you with my look and my tongue, and you had better ask me how you bleed.
Mm.
You had asked me.
I know that's
but
right.
that was me unrefined in my leadership. But me also fighting who I was to be accepted by others.
That's the point right there.
Yes.
It's that need in us until we recognize who we are.
Yeah.
Leading up to that, we feel like that we're fighting for pole position.
Mhm.
Like we have to do that. And I remember my moment. And let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
Because when we say things like realization and moments and whatever, it is not as tangible as you would like. Okay? A lot of times we listen to people that coach us and guide us and give us information, but they don't let us know what to look for. So I want to make sure that on A Better Way of Earning, we don't leave you with vagueness. And so each person's revelation or realization or understanding about who they are as a leader is going to come in different shapes and forms. But you will know it because eventually it will almost be like a puzzle piece where all of a sudden where you were trying to force pieces to work, it'll organically come together. And no matter where you go, no matter what department you walk in, what industry you walk in, you understand how to find the core of the problem, how to work the problem, and get the results that's necessary without you having to sell yourself. And I use that air quotes because we just talked about as women, especially as Black women, how we feel like that we have to be the strong one and we have to carry all these different imagery that society has put on us. And sometimes that also, if you're carrying that too deep, that hinders you from actually seeing the beauty inside of you and what your actual assignment is, because you're so focused and micro focused on what everybody else thinks of you, right?
Yes, and that is, you said that, being that piece, because you were born to be a piece to someone else's puzzle.
Come on now.
I'm going to say that again. When you were born and created, you were born to be, specifically by God, to be a piece to someone else's puzzle.
Not the whole solution.
Not the whole solution. And what that actually means is that realization that you're talking about, it's the day that you wake up and you sit and you think, well, I used to do this and I used to do that. And everything that you used to do and how you feel is so aligned to who you are.
Right.
And it's like, wow, I didn't know that that was a leadership skill when I was 16. I didn't know that when I was 13. I didn't know when I was 5. And I was advocating for my classmate when my teacher grabbed her by her hair. I didn't know when I was 5 that I was meant to be an advocate. Nobody nurtured that in me. Nobody saw that in me, right? So you find out like, wow, I did that at 5, and then what did I do at 16? And so all those pieces, it's a revelation of who you are, because the reality of who you are, it's going to spill out. It's going to spill
No matter
out.
what you try to
No
fight.
matter
Come on now.
what you try to do, it's going to spill out. Whether you are in church and you're the leader of the choir and the leader of the usher, or you're in ministry, like I was a lot of things to a lot of people.
Right.
A lot of things. And I thought, wow, you packaged me, God.
Right.
And he packages you. He packages you. So pay attention to your package. Pay attention to the things that don't align with you. So when we're talking about evolving, if it doesn't align with me, I don't have time for it at the moment.
Right.
And you don't have to. You don't have to co-sign somebody else's neglect.
Right.
Their lack of leadership. You don't have to co-sign it. And you said that, right? You don't have to co-sign that. You stand in your position. You stand in who you are, and understanding that you were born and God-given. It took me a while to really realize that I was born. I'm literally born this way. This is how I function every single day. And I have embraced the total Natalie.
Come on now.
Not a title. Not a title. When I transitioned from the Women's Business Center as the executive director to my own, because I started my own business at that particular time. You know, when you transfer from a corporate to another space, sometimes your identity is tied to that thing.
Yes.
Right? So you have to break that identity, and you have to do it your way. Yeah. Not the way everybody else says. Someone said to me, was your leaving that so traumatic for you as it was for us? And I didn't realize it was that traumatic for the entire community. I know I was doing it for me to better myself. But then I had to look at, well, what really did transpire, what really did happen. But I also had to look at, you're no longer that person as a title, as a title, but you're still that person as an individual.
Ooh, and as a leader.
As a leader.
Absolutely.
And I don't even consider myself a leader. I don't wear a title of a leadership.
Right.
I just am who I am.
Well, but it's not really, and I'm glad you touched on that, because let's talk about titles for a minute, and what that impact is. In my opinion, throughout my journey, I feel like the title is for the other person and not for you.
Could be.
A title for me is how people view me. If you view me as that president and CEO, if you view me as that leader, as that mentor, there's so many people that call us mentors that we may not even know. We may not even see. And so I also tell you that in perspective of your own leadership growth and journey, don't be so in such a hurry to perform that you're not taking inventory of the environment around you, because you may think that you're not having an impact, but there's someone that's watching you. There's someone that's waiting to see how you react to adverse situations and how you react to setbacks. And we didn't make the numbers. And, you know, all of us have had those, back to the bad manager, where we know you come down the hall together, what kind of meeting this is going to have, because we didn't hit our numbers today, Lord. Okay, y'all ready? Because you got your answers. I got my answers. That's not a productive. You're going to get information, but you're not going to get productivity.
Right.
When your folks are okay to come to you and sit with you and talk it through with you, if you let them understand, some of the best leaders in my experience are the ones that the people around you not only trust you, but know that you don't feel like that you're better than any of them. That you're in it with them, right?
Yeah, when you're in it with them, but also, you said a whole bunch in that. I was gonna try to jump in, but we get that old foggy brain. It just doesn't stay put. But you said a lot right there, and that was a mouthful because as a leader, um, my practice has always been an open door.
Yes.
I'm an open door leader. You can walk in, we can sit down, and we can talk. And then once we're finished talking, we're going to get back to the action.
Absolutely.
How does this affect you? Right? But also, if it's affecting you, then it's affecting the work.
Absolutely.
So, what do we need to do with you so that we can help you so that it doesn't affect the work negatively? Right? I always talk about this learning curve, especially when you start a job. And I'm clear on that. Some leaders are not clear on that. When they hire people, they expect them to run the show. They expect them to move at that moment. There's a learning curve. And once, even in this entrepreneur journey, let me give myself 2 years.
Right.
I understand what it takes to build systems and processes. And I understand what it takes for people to trust. Right. My first boss told me there's 2 things: integrity that you need to do what is necessary to do when no one is watching. An initiative that you need to do what needs to be done when nobody asks you.
Absolutely.
That was my very first job. And you know why he told me that? Because they asked me to do something. I was 18. They asked me to do something. I brought my my job description to my boss. And I said to him, this is what's on my job description.
Come on there. I love it.
I read it. I said, it says nothing about doing this, and the other.
I'm not paying for that.
And he sat me down and told me those 2 words.
Yeah.
Do you know, I had an opportunity to call him after 30 years.
Wow.
And to say thank you to that man.
Absolutely. It's those moments.
I said, thank you, because it was his integrity that taught me integrity. And those 2 things I have carried throughout my career.
But that's development. Life. He saw in you, maybe even something that you didn't see in you. And again, if you're so busy focused in on getting to the next thing, you can't find the Natalie stars in your group to give them that nugget of wisdom that can change what can happen. For me, I spent at least a decade being embarrassed about my resume because, I had a son early, and where my friends could get those careers and whatever, she had to get a job, okay? Job. The lights he ate a lot. So, but for me, I got my job. I did relocating. I moved to Texas. I didn't know anybody there. And I needed to make sure that I could pay the bills, right? And what I didn't know, going back to what you were born to do, that you can run from it, you can escape, you could try to escape from it, whatever. It took for me probably about 10 years in to actually sit down, because if you do an inventory of all of the things that you've done, you'll find the core of your assignment. Right? Am I right?
That's exactly right.
You will start to see where you migrate to, where you naturally, where you naturally thrive, where you naturally. And so for me, it wasn't about the realization. My problem was accepting it.
And that is for a lot of women, especially
so
Black women.
Yes.
Let me tell you, words are powerful.
Oh, I came from so many people that kept trying to say, you can't do it. You
Words
shouldn't
are
do it.
powerful.
Why do you talk like that? I had so many, and a lot of mine came from women because I'm a direct communicator. Again, my father's from the military. I was the only son he had. So when you spoke, he would say,
say exactly what you mean.
mean?
Like all the fluffy
All the
words or
emotion
what.
and stuff. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah,
what?
time for all that.
Ain't
What
got
are
time
you
to
saying?
think about it.
So that's how I learned to communicate. So I would be direct communicating. And a
Right.
lot of women would say, you
Right.
forgot, you don't even talk like a woman, you don't act like that or whatever. And it hurt me.
Yep.
So then I tried to shrink. I tried to change. Maybe I used to sit and watch other women and watch how they sat and walked and talked and kept saying, well, Lord, why didn't you build me like that or whatever? Well, again, probably a decade and a half through my through my career or whatever, I was sitting in an interview, actually. It was an internal interview. And I was sitting in front of this lady that did not like me and did not even pretend that like she didn't like me. So it was her job to interview me. And I remember listening to her touch on that one thing. This is how you know when you heal from something. She said, why should I hire you? You've been in HR, you've been in real estate, you've been in finance, you've been in operations, you've been in sales, you've been doing all this. Why should I hire you? And for some reason, listening to her run back my work experience did something different than it did any time before. Before, I would try to explain. Listening to this woman read back my resume to me, I actually looked at her and said, you know what, you're right, you shouldn't hire me because I am overqualified for what you are bringing
There
me
you
in here.
go.
And I pushed my chair back and I left. There was another manager in there. He called me, he said, did you just walk out of an interview? I think I did. I did. At that moment, I finally understood the circle and the core of where my strength
value.
is and my value.
Your value.
And I no longer felt that urge, like you said, to sell myself. But in that process of newly discovering and accepting who I was is another level of development. So let's talk about how people are under this impression. And again, even on social media, we give this snapshot concept that once you get it, you're in. Leadership, development, work, entrepreneurship, anything that you want to be successful is a
evolution.
continuous evolving learning experience if you really want it.
If you want it. And I always say I'm a professional student.
Right.
I love learning. But you said something that was really, really important. And people don't necessarily understand the value of value proposition.
Ooh, let's talk about it.
As an entrepreneur, as an employee inside of an organization, it doesn't necessarily matter. As a leader, it is our job, it is our responsibility to help people understand the value that they bring to the organization.
Ooh. Ooh.
Because at the end of the day, it's the value proposition that sells. So if your person is sitting in the chair and they believe in who they are, and you have helped them to understand their value and what they are contributing to the team, how it adds to the bottom line, they're going to give you more.
Come on now.
They're going to give you more, and they're going to freely give you more.
Freely.
It's not going to be begrudging. They're going to show up early. They're going to stay late.
Oh, come on now.
Okay?
That's that person.
They're going to ask,
yes.
what else can I do? But because you have valued who they are and you have seen it. And so I'll tell you one thing. People always say, what's the difference? Like when the lady said to you, why should I hire you? The real answer was, why should you not?
Why should you not? But
why would you? Why would you not?
Absolutely.
Only because you're intimidated. And I had a boss
Yes.
who was intimidated. They came looking for me.
Yes.
Oh, we need you. And I'll be honest, I've been fortunate. That's how I've gotten most of my jobs. People have come looking for me.
Yeah.
But what they did not know was who I was.
Yes.
So when she hired me and she started to ask me questions, I said, you don't necessarily know who I am.
At all.
You saw what you thought. And I say this, and my husband says, don't say that. But I'm telling you what, people like the results that they get from you, but they don't necessarily like you.
Say that one more time.
They like the results. Oh my gosh, she's result driven.
Yes.
She's changed this company. She's increased profitability by 400 and 200. But the integrity that it takes for me to do the job, they don't necessarily like,
And
because I'm
why
not
is-
going to break.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to do anything that is not aligned with my spirit, right? Or aligned with my principles.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the right principles and you're not lined up correctly, then people start to say, well, you know, she's too rough, she's too tough, she's got too many standards. Yes, I do have standards, especially when it relates to my job and my brand.
Yes.
All day long. All day long. So when we're talking about this whole growth, when we're talking about value proposition, when we're talking about understanding the people that are in the room with you, it is a gift. I hear what's not said.
Yes.
That's a gift.
Yes.
People could be in the room with me and they can say a lot of things, but what they don't say is what I hear. And that's where God draws me to minister to that person.
Right. Right.
And that's where the mentoring begins.
Right.
And the development begins, because then they're like, well, I can trust her.
Absolutely.
And that's when you get someone to have trust and loyalty,
right,
then you've got a person that will go to the hills for you.
right.
To go to the hills for you. But when you have disloyalty and you're disloyal as a leader and people see that, it's going to be difficult for people to follow.
Well, and sometimes, a lot of times, let's go back to we mirror what we see.
Yep.
And sometimes I feel like that, and I've seen it a lot, where some people, on one of our other podcasts, we had this conversation with a executive HR professional, and sometimes we see something in people, and if you don't understand your own role of development and how to develop that person, you can prematurely put someone in a position or a role that, yes, technically they may be ready for, but they are not ready for.
Right.
So and let's talk a little bit about
designing and defining the team. Okay. I'm actually doing a workshop on that on Saturday, June the 13th, by the way.
Come on now.
But
we're going to get that information.
It
Seriously.
is. Yeah, it is about designing and defining the team. Just because somebody can do something doesn't mean that's what they should be doing. That's the bottom line. Even though they may have applied for this role, you have to really understand the capabilities and the capacity of people. And sometimes younger people don't necessarily know. New people, I'm not going to say younger, I'm going to say new people in the world of employment. They don't necessarily know their capacity.
At all. Because they've never experienced
They have never experienced it, especially in a business environment, right? And they're not clear on the transferable skills that
that's my key thing,
right? They're not keen on, I did this and this means this over here. So their capacity, they're limiting their own capacity, and then their leader is doing the same exact thing or shoving them in a role that is not fitting.
And you can truly do more damage to someone by placing them in a role or a position prematurely than to help get them ready for that process. And sometimes I feel like that a lot of leaders become impatient because of the numbers. I need you to get over here and get this done so we can get to this point over here. But you're not realizing that if you give them a little bit more time, then the
learning curve. That's that learning curve.
That's that learning curve. And sometimes that doesn't mean that they can't help you with it. But it may not be something for you to drop off on them and place them in a space, because they can get it. But if they're insecure, if they don't have a place, or they're not, when I say insecure, that person isn't secure enough to ask the questions to get the best results.
Because you haven't developed the relationship.
You haven't developed the relationship.
And sometimes, as a leader, you will have to do some hand holding.
Absolutely.
Sometimes as a leader, it requires you to do some levels of hand holding with some people.
So you started the conversation, you talked about the human-centered part, where you began with results. And then you grew into your own leadership style, and you really focus in on that human center. So let's kind of switch the gears here for a second. Let's talk to leaders. And let's help them understand the why. The human centered is very important in this overall success of their leadership, no matter what their style is. If you want that results, you ever been around somebody that has worked in the department 30, 40 years and still don't know nothing about not one person
in the
in the
department.
department? And so you
And they're
come
probably
in,
the same way in their neighborhood. They don't know who their neighbors are.
so you come in and they're the boss. You come in and you're seeing the deficits and you're seeing the gems, the gold in that group. Let's talk to that leader about how to receive information and coaching as a leader without being offended that you can learn from it, even the people that work from you.
Right. So when I have leaders like that, and I have had a couple leaders in that regard, is first and foremost validation of who they are.
Okay.
Because a leader, especially when they're the president and CEO of the organization, right? They've gotten there some kind of way, some kind of how.
Absolutely.
Someone saw something, or maybe they've had a track record. But first of all, it's about validating them first. And then second of all, talking to them on their emotional level. It takes emotional intelligence inside of an organization. It takes an IQ to understand what I can say, when I can say it, and how I should say it. And that's how I've always operated. And then that way it helps to mold the leader. And then that leader begins to rely on you. And they'll say to you, well, let's have a conversation because I really value your input. Because I heard them, I saw them, and then I helped to validate this is who you are, but you have a team of people who may be X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And being open and honest. You have to be open and honest because oftentimes as a visionary, visionaries don't see that.
Ooh.
And I'm a COO. So I know how to work with a CEO who's a straight visionary about how the vision should go. Right. I'm an executor as a COO, but I'm also a people center because that's where God places a COO in that role. Right. So you are the liaison between those people and your CEO. So you have to know how to code switch. Right. You have to know how to have a language that speaks to them and a language that speaks to your leadership. And when that happens, it becomes a beautiful marriage. And then they come back and they say, I heard what you said about XYZ, and I saw her do such and such. Right. Now they see it differently. Right. That's how you define or help to shape a leader. Every one of us needs to be reshaped.
Absolutely.
And I said it before, I'm a professional learner. I'm always looking for development, always.
You know what? This is good. I don't know about you, but this is a good conversation. And what I want to do, because we're getting closer to our time, I want to ask you, will you come back?
Absolutely.
So that we can continue to have this conversation. And again, the reason that we created this stage for us to have this level of conversation is because the vagueness is what's hurting us. The bullet point conversation, this is what you should be, but without giving any context to what you're telling me that I need to do. I'm a person that I need clarity. And if I have no safe place for me to go, safe, that's my word, no safe place for me to go to get those answers, then I'm stuck. So I want a better way of earning to get people into the understanding that the experts that we have here sitting in the chair, we're just going to tell you the truth, the reality of what this is. And sometimes you're not going to like.
Exactly.
You're not going to agree or like what we're saying. But what our role is to get you as much information as possible so that as you are developing yourself, there are some pieces that are going to resonate with you. There are some pieces that, and don't run out your chair when I say this. There are some nuggets that we're giving them right now that won't make sense until 5 or 10 years from now.
That's exactly right. And I had to understand that too. I had to learn that impact isn't immediate. It is gradual over time, and that you won't not necessarily always see the impact. Right. And that I had to take in and let that resonate with me as well. And eventually people call back and say, I remember when you did. And you're like, what?
That's
And that's the part that helps you put the pieces together.
so. As we wrap this conversation, all of our guests have one question to
Yes.
answer, and so throughout your years of development, no matter what the title is and what industry that you're working in, as you have grown, as the person, the woman, the leader that you are, what does success look like to you now compared to what you began thinking that success was in the beginning?
So, success looks like design. I'm going to use a couple of words. Architect, because you're designing as you're moving.
Ooh.
You become this architect of your own life, the way that you mold and you shaping it. I'm a risk taker. And as most leaders, we are risk takers.
Right.
This is a risk,
Yes.
right? Being an entrepreneur is a risk.
Yes.
So when we talk about success, it's not necessarily making sure everything is right. It's just making sure you're answering all the calls. And when you do that, you're taking a risk, but you're also being obedient.
Right.
And the obedience of the assignment is greater than not doing what I've been called to do.
Right. Ooh.
So that for me is success. Even when I don't understand the entire picture, I have to take it. I have to listen. I have to do, especially all my things are ordained by God. I believe that. But when he ordains me to go down a different path that I've never been on, and I'm uncertain, and you're uncertain as a leader, you have got an obligation to the assignment. It's an assignment because there are people that are waiting, and you said that. And the impact will be greater than you thought, and it may not be immediate.
Well, I don't know about the audience, but that last part that you just said actually blessed me this week. As I'm building this technology company and a part of what we're doing with having this conversation, the learning curve or whatever, is to help the technology that I'm trying to build into our platform. And you know, I tell people all the time, it's not the start, because starting something new is the exciting part. It's the middle. It's when you're not seeing results and you're not getting things that you have to find words of wisdom to keep you moving even in the dark. And you just gave me the words of wisdom that I needed for this week. It was a rough week, and I needed to hear about staying apart, because assignment is that's my non-negotiable right there.
Yeah.
I know what my assignment is. And sometimes how we get to our assignment may look wear different coats and different hats in order to get there. And I had to make peace with that, because a lot of people were like, well, you do a whole lot. But that's how you built me.
Sorry. I don't have another answer.
I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly.
I don't know what to tell you. That's just the assignment that God gave. But I also will leave you with this. I do believe that each one of us, I call us the tuning forks of God. And I feel like that you can say something, I can say something, anyone else can say something, but there are people that are assigned to us.
That's true.
And that was why this talk show was so important for us to produce, because there's a lot of information out there. People are dealing with information overload. And if I can find the tuning forks for the people that are sitting out there that are waiting to begin or complete their assignment, then I will bring those people to this talk show so that we can have these
They're
conversations.
waiting to exhale, and you're providing the space to do it.
I love it. I love you too.
I love you.
So, will you come back?
Absolutely.
And before we leave, let's talk to them about how do they connect with you and what you are doing right now. Because
find me on nawbusinesssolutions.com. I'm launching my brand new website. Haven't done it yet. I'm launching my brand new website. Yes, it's a beautiful thing. You can also find me with doing training. I do train. You can find me on LinkedIn and things of that nature. But I am doing training right now, a 5-part series training on Let's Talk Operations. And
Oh,
the components of that are financial. Um, and this week, even though I don't know when this is going to air, but on June 13th, we are doing accountability and defining a team. Our next couple sessions will cover things like financials, compliancy, strategies. It's all about strategy. And the one thing that you said earlier was sometimes as a leader, we have to say things that people don't necessarily like. And as a leader, when you're coming into this entrepreneur, especially entrepreneurial um, arena, there are a lot of skills that we definitely need that people don't necessarily help us to understand and define that we need it. And being a leader, as opposed to a manager, is definitely one of those skills. So I'm helping leaders to level up. So you can find me in my social media doing this 5-part series. And then I have a Stratavision framework where we are having fun and we're talking strategy. So it is a community of women that we come together. We have, some moments of fun. We laugh, we cry, we take our time out, and then we talk about strategy. We set our goals and objectives and our 90-day plans, and we just continue to do those things.
so can you give us a few minutes to tell us what NAW for? Tell us
Stands
what,
for
yeah, what does it do? How do you help people? Is this, just tell us a little bit about the company.
Yeah, so NAW 4, the 4 represents Christ in my life. The NAW is my initials. It's Integrated Business Solution. It's actually a project that I worked on when I was in college. I didn't even know that I was going to, it was one of those things like, hey, if you're going to do a business, what would it be? And I said it would be business solutions. Had I known, I didn't really know. But we are a unique a boutique consulting firm where we support the business community with support regarding strategies, business development, technical expertise, whether you're looking for a business revenue model or you need help and support with workflow processes. If you are stuck on budgeting and forecasting, you need help in defining your team and leadership, we do that. If also you are a nonprofit organization, you are on a board, you need board development. We do strategic planning sessions for boards. We do just overall reconstruction of businesses as well. So that's what we do.
Thank you,
You're
Dr. Natalie,
welcome.
for spending time with us. And you heard it here. She will be back so we can have and continue the conversation. This is valuable information, and we appreciate you coming.
I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you. And I am praying for much success for this podcast. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. If he gave it to you, he'll bring you through it.
Woo.
Join Dr. Natalie and a whole host of experts September 24th through 25th at the 2026 Men's Shadow Breaking Summit. Save the date. Find more information on our community site of how to obtain the tickets. She also has coming up her annual Heart of a Woman 2026 Rise Conference. This conference is for everyone, focused in on resetting, repositioning, realigning, and rising. Again, all information is on our community website where you can obtain your tickets and join. Wow. I hope today's conversation at least challenged you into thinking a different way about your leadership style or how you approach leading your team and motivating your team. What I love most about Dr. Natalie is her transparency about her own journey of learning how to be a leader. And I want you to really, really take that in. No one walks in the door immediately and understands what leadership is, what their leadership style is, and how to execute it in a manner to get people to find their full potential. So if you walk away from this episode with anything, it is first, commend yourself for being the leader that you are. Next, evaluate the impact that you are having on your team, on your reports, on the people that follow you. Figure out if there are things that you need to do. One of the sayings that I said a long time, especially in when I was working in corporate America and I was leading my team, I would always say, take your feelings out of it. And it doesn't hold any more true than when you own your own business. There's a lot of times that people jump into business as a business owner and believe that the title gives them empowerment to just boss people around. But that's not a true leader, that's a manager. And if you are a business owner, you have to recognize how to put people in places with the expertise that they have to make sure that every decision is the best decision for your business, not for you. You have to take your feelings out of that. So watch the episode again, rewatch it, take some notes, but mostly I want to invite you to join the A Better Way of Earning community, where you can not only share some positive feedback to Dr. Natalie, let her know what that episode did for you and how you felt about it, but also add your own stories into the community so we all can learn from even the things that you have learned along your journey. Because every step that we have ever taken within our lives, within our businesses, within just who we are matters. Don't ever let anybody tell you that it doesn't. Even when you make a mistake, the best thing that you can do is own that, learn from that, and improve it. Don't beat yourself up. I know what that feels like. I know when you sit and you try to emulate somebody else, or you're trying to live up to expectations that people have placed on you, and you're not ready for that, or you don't have the tools to do that. There are ways for you to improve your leadership style, as Dr. Natalie talked about, mentors and things that she learned along the journey. But the first thing that she had to recognize was who she really was designed to be. That impacts how you show up as a leader. But again, I want to see everybody in the community. I want to thank you for joining us for our premiere episode of A Better Way of Earning. Next week, we will sit down and have a conversation with Stephen Govan. He is a model, he's a DJ, and he is a brand ambassador. And his story is so important, especially for those who are seeking to get into those industries that are very public facing. So I think you'll be surprised about how he got there and what he learned along the way of him building his successful businesses. I am Dr. Michelle S. Thomas. And again, I want to thank you for joining our show. I want to encourage you to join the community. But most of all, I want you to remember that this talk show is about a better way of earning for you. If there's anything I want you to walk away with today, is one conversation can change a life. One decision can impact a career. And one opportunity can change your legacy. So don't give up on you. Don't give up on us. Tune in every Thursday